Everybody just sort of snuck up, okay? Is everybody ready? Mark, you good? Brent, you good? Karen? Yeah. John?
Yep.
Good evening. It's time to call the April 13th, 2023 Warwick County Board of Education meeting to order. Our first order of business is our Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to ask Zoe Yoke if she'll stand and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Zoe. Okay, with the permission of the board, I would like to have a moment of silence. We lost another former employee this week, Rich Weaver. Rich drove buses for us for many years. I'm not quite sure how many years it was, but it was in the 20s. And probably some of our parents, if you lived out there, you probably had Mr. Weaver as a driver. I see Lisa raised her hand, but Rich was a good guy and an excellent employee. So if you would indulge me, we'll have a moment of silence for Rich. Thank you. Okay, now down to the fun stuff, our recognitions. We're glad to see this many people out. So first one's middle school FBLA winners, and Mr. McCown, if you want to take it.
Do you want to do the agenda?
Yeah, let's go ahead and follow the rules and do the agenda. How's that? Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I wrote over the thing, okay, so I didn't see it. Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda. As we look down through, the only changes that we have no resignations or leave of absences. Under employment, we have a name in for the head custodian. Number 2 and number 3 have been struck from the agenda. Under new business, number 1 has been struck and number 5 has been struck. Anybody see anything I missed since I'm already going down that alley tonight? Looks good? Any questions about the changes in the agenda? Here none. We have motion to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, now we're down to recognitions.
All right.
Mr. McCown.
So we have lots of folks here to be recognized this evening. First on the agenda is our middle school state FBLA winners, and I will ask Mrs. Limley to come up and talk a little bit about their year and what they've accomplished.
This year.
Is that on?
Dottie's going to get it there.
Okay, so this year we went to our state competition that was held in Huntington at Marshall. So if my FBLA kids will come up here. We have done several things this year. We like to partner with the high school so we can help get them ready for when they come to high school and have that, already have that experience for going to competition, being a part of FBLA and seeing what it is, so that we hope to have very active members in our high school FBLA. So we've done several things this year. We went on an entrepreneurship trip where we went to Emerson Bowling Lanes and talked about marketing and how that has changed over the years. We went to Sweet Frog and learned about entrepreneurship. And then we've done a couple of trips with the high school, and then we went to our competition, and then we hope to have one more trip coming up before the end of the year to take them on like a team bonding trip to get to know each other and be ready for high school. So we have some 7th graders that have their first year in FBLA that went to competition in place. So Zoe Yoke, she placed in, it's been a minute since I've looked at it, so let me think. You were critical thinking, first place, so they get a prompt. They have several minutes to look over their prompt to come up with a solution based around FBLA goals, and so she did really well. So we're very proud of her for critical thinking first place. Good job, Zoe. Alex and his team also did critical thinking. They took second place. It was Alex, who's representing for his team of Lincoln Amos and Dylan Workman. And so we're really proud. Alex's first year, I tried really hard to get him an FBLA last year, and he was like, nope, not having it, Miss Emily. And this year, I think we got him on board, and so I hope he's enjoyed it. So, good job, Juan.
Good deal.
First year. Raina, you want to come up here? So Raina is a 7th grader. It's her first year in FBLA, but it's a long reign of Sherlock's in FBLA, and they've all done very well. So she is carrying that torch on for her family. Her and her teammate Christina Duckworth were in marketing, right? 4 Ps of marketing. You had to sell. They came up with a business. They wanted to do a nonprofit bookstore where they could, people could go online and purchase a book, and they would send it to them for free so that every child had the opportunity to read. So they took first place in their marketing competition. So good job. She's one of my 7th graders, first year girl. Izzy went to our fall conference and fell in love with FBLA. She is hoping to be a state officer or run for state officer in the future at the high school level. So we're super excited for her FBLA career. And she took second place in business ethics this year, so she did awesome. Sophie Awan is my first year girl too. Come on. Very shy and nervous, but she's super creative, and we were able to get her on board. At the first of the year, she's like, I don't think I want to do FBLA. But when we got to talking about it in class and showing them some of the things that we can do in the competitions, she was very interested. So she did video game challenge. She created a video game through coding, and it was her first experience with coding. We had several study nights at the high school, and she came over and worked with our TIS, Callie Doherty, who teaches coding, and they put a coding prompt together. She created it based on her love of fishing with her grandpa and some memories she had. So she had to present her video game, the challenges of learning Scratch coding and putting it together, and she did awesome and took first place in video game challenge. Noland is also first year FBLA. She's carrying on Haley Nolan's torch, who did FBLA and FFA at high school level and has went to competition. So she did business ethics and took 3rd place in business ethics, and we're really excited for her to carry on FBLA and FFA next year, right? The high school level? Hoping? Okay. I will not. Cammie and Brooke, this is their 2nd year in FBLA, and so they went and did business ethics. They are excellent leaders for our FBLA team, and they took first place in business ethics. So there's some reigning champions from last year who also took first place in business ethics. So good job, girls.
Yeah.
And that's it for FBLA, unless you have questions for us.
I know the high school goes on to national, but they do not, right?
No, yes. We don't go to nationals yet, so we just like to prepare them and get them ready so that next year, hopefully, they will be, those who get to go to 9th grade next year, will be well prepared and be able to place that first place in SLC so they can go to nationals next year. So something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to. Yeah. Okay, and Mr. Armstrong will do a picture. Yeah. Girls, come on up. Okay, now we have the state qualifiers for archery. Mr.
I just wanted to say real quickly, we've always had a strong tradition of FBLA in Worth County, and it's good to see that continue onward with the next generation.
Go.
Okay, so we have archery with us. So it wasn't all that long ago. If you remember, the board was in the middle school gym and archery was doing a demonstration, and you all have supported them, and they've done some good things this year. So if our archery coaches could come up, and if you'd want to introduce the folks that you have here and talk a little bit about their accomplishments this year, that would be great.
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago that you guys came down and watched this great group of kids, and it's just amazing how quickly they've progressed. We actually used the money that the board got us to get some new arrows. It's a very important part of the archery. We were shooting a few bananas, and we got some good straight arrows, and scores came up. We actually ended up with right around 34 kids this year. I think about 20 in the middle school and 14 from the high school. 6 of which qualified for the state tournament, which is no small feat, because if you don't qualify as a team, then you have to be in the top 10 in the state? 15. You have to be in the top 15 in the state as an individual. So you have to score in a tournament in the top 15 out of all the thousands of kids that shoot. You have to be in the top 15. So since we didn't qualify a team, all these students were in the top 15 in the state, and we had one student qualified second, Clayton qualified second in the state, and then we had 2 of our students in the state qualify to go to Eastern Nationals, which is coming up on May 11th. Isabella and Clayton are both going to Eastern Nationals this year, so that's a really big deal. We've only really been doing archery for about 3 years, 2 of which we've been pretty serious about. The first year got messed up by COVID, and we actually qualified one for the state tournament that year and didn't end up going because of the COVID pandemic. But we've used the money to buy targets and arrows that the board gave us. We really appreciate the buses. That makes it so much easier to get the kids to and from. If it's 34 kids, it's pretty hard to get them all to and from. And we certainly appreciate the lunches every day for every weekend for the shoot. So we're super proud of them, and kind of amazing how far they've come so quickly. We actually had one kid, Clayton, qualified first at John Marshall out of over 400 kids. So he was the top scorer out of everyone there. We had another tournament. We had a student end up second, and we've qualified as a team, or we've scored as a team in the top 3 twice this year. So those are all pretty big deals, because archery in the schools is getting much bigger very quickly. I don't know if very many of you made it to a tournament this year, especially like the one at Pacific Center. It's standing room only, and it's a lot of kids, and you just have to think that that's only one flight. So those are coming in there from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock that evening. Even though we were only there for an hour, those kids are pouring through there all day long, and we've got kids that are competing on their level and even beating them. So it's pretty impressive for only 3 years in. So we're super proud of them. Zoe Yoke, Clayton Mills, Kurt Archer, Megan, Cutlip, Isabella, Beast, Jasmine Williams. Give them all a big round of applause. I'm pretty proud of them.
Where's the Eastern National held at?
It's in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
All right.
You ready? You want to do a picture?
Yeah, I was giving him a hard time.
Good job.
Good job, guys.
Okay, now, last but not least, esports team. Mr. McCown?
So, this is another group that, if you remember, not that long ago, we came and asked the board to pick this up and authorize a coaching position for it and to support it, and the board has done that. And they have also done some good things and have some very snazzy shirts, too, I must say. So if Mr. Cottrell could come forth and talk a little bit about his team and some of the accomplishments that they've made this year.
This is the fruit of about 3.5 years of work, and so I wanted to introduce everybody to Robert Russell, this is Landon Dawson, Jonathan Cottrell, Christopher Goodman, Abby Keaton, Trinity Love, and Audrey Bevel. And we have 3 missing: Ray McIntyre, Ephraim Lynch, one of our other captains, Gregory Robbins, sorry. So, real quick, they'll be laughing at me a lot. I probably learned more from them than they had to do this year. So, they have all qualified every postseason to play in the playoffs. I mean, you have to be 8th ranked or better. We get better every year, but I'm just really proud of it. It's hard to do something first. You know, it's hard, and I appreciate the board's support because it has just yielded great results. As a matter of fact, Audrey, what do you want to talk about? Bang for your buck, has been offered at least $5,000 a year to attend Western College as part of scholarship, if she so chooses. So yeah, it's producing really good results. I think I'll let them speak for themselves if they want to. I really think they've enjoyed it. They won the spring season out 2 days longer when we were a little tired. But they've done really well. I want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Joe for helping purchase. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to do that. Help purchase the jerseys. They purchased quite a bit of them. And Mrs. Smith, and then there were a few others. I don't think anybody specific I can name, but for the jerseys, they were designed by the captains, Audrey, Serenity, and Ephraim. And they were made by Billy Bevel, who I really appreciate helping us out. So, do you have any questions?
Do they have nicknames? I see somebody has Mr. Man. Turn around. There you go.
These are game tags. That's what they are. Okay. So yeah, I don't pick their game tags.
Come on, Audrey, turn around. I didn't see yours. There you go.
As long as you score first, I told them they could pick them. So.
Shine what? How do you get that? Shine Space Cat.
So if you don't know the skill level it takes, it's not just about playing games. It's about high-speed communication, decision-making, and team. And they are extreme. I can't be proud. They not only, and something the board should know, you toured it a few years ago, that you have the top high school equipped gaming lab in the state. That is from, not me, that is from the esports coach, who he's named from Wesleyan College. And we have the most diverse. I got girl gamers that do really well. My guys do, but I raise $2, so I'll be with them. So, any questions?
So again, real quick, there's 3 games they play, right?
Well, there's a bunch. But
Oh,
the ones we participate in this year are Valorant, Rocket League, Brawlhalla, and Overwatch.
Okay.
That's they know it for me a long time. But, so we have those we participate in. There's like 5 or 6 other game titles, but these are the ones we chose to participate in this year. So they do really, really well. Any other questions?
William, I don't know if it was in the paper or on Facebook, I don't remember, but you were at Westland. Was that for an actual game, or is that just as a...
So, Coach Hayes, when he come see us, they visited us first. That's when he made Audrey the offer. He wanted to see our lab, and he did him and he brought another player, and they invited us to come up and see their arena. Ours is lab, there's the arena. But, and so the kids want to go up, and they got to do a college tour, ask students to see, that would be someplace they want to attend. They also got to go into their lab and actually came with the college level students. So, very nice lab, very expensive machines, but they treated us really, really good. It was just a good time. The kids got a good understanding what at least that college would be like.
Good deal.
I'm just proud of that. I'm very grateful to the board for supporting this. It's not easy doing something first for these kids that have all grades.
I do have a question. Like for Wesleyan, do they say what they want to go into? If they get a $5,000 scholarship,
So $5,000.
do they have any say in what they want them to do, or is it that they can just go do whatever they want?
Well, they can attend a college and major in anything they like, but they will participate in esports
Team.
as a team. They play on a national level, they play pros. A lot of them, like Audrey's interested in computer science, okay? And so their computer science program, by the time their kids are 25, 26 years old, maybe a little older, both 6 figures out. Because not only do they get, could they go into game design or whatever, but they can pursue any major they want, and sometimes double major, because it's a little arts. I'm a fan of Leslie Bowman Girl. Forgive me, I am biased.
Nothing wrong with that. Another picture?
What is the back?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, sure.
Turn around.
Okay.
Yeah. It took me a second to figure out what it was.
How about all that?
Okay, orange turn. Okay. I'm sure. I don't know if the editor will use that.
Our gallery team all have notable names, except for one, which is Chris. But Abby has parking chicken.
Yes.
Audrey has shy space cat. Kate has kidney smelt rock. I have AC panda. And then Layden has goat husky. We got our own little stew of gallery team too, which makes it better.
Hey guys, good deal. Congratulations.
Okay, we are down to information. And the first item is the WVU Medical Athletic Trainer Services. Mr. McAllen.
So we were approached by WVU Medicine several weeks back with this offer, and I have asked the athletic director or admin from the high school and middle school to come up and speak to that. But basically what this would be, it would supplement our athletic trainer positions that we have with an athletic trainer from WVU Medicine. And then it would give us some expedited medical services if we would have a student that got injured. It would basically put them to the front of the line to get treatment instead of just having to go wait in the emergency room. So I'll ask Dottie and Mr. Edwards to come up and speak a little bit to that. I wanted to bring it to you as information and share that with you, but it looks like, in my estimation, it looks like a good deal and something that we could get in place before the school year begins next year, possibly.
Okay, So as Mr. McKeown said, a couple of weeks ago, a representative from WVU Medicine, Louis Hare, came to meet with admin and athletic directors regarding this opportunity for WVU Medicine to partner with us. They currently partner with Parkersburg High School, Parkersburg South High School, Williamstown High School, and Parkersburg Catholic, and they're also moving out into the middle schools. WVU Medicine at this point would like to come on ahead out into some of the smaller rural schools, and Wirt County is one of the first ones that they've chosen to provide an ATC that the Wood County schools have at this point. The average cost for what the county would be responsible of the total salary of this person is $7,700. And anything medically, related, comes with a big price. And like I said, this is a certified ATC. This includes a fully certified trainer at our events and during school hours, so they would actually put in at least 40 hours a week here in Wirt County schools. That would be something that the building principals would work with that trainer to help schedule those hours to see that our events and our students who need these items from this trainer is taken care of. Like Mr. McKeown said, we would also have access to WVU Medicine's emergency room directly from an event. We've had instances, during basketball season, football season, volleyball season, and even tonight we've got an injury at our baseball game that is requiring a student to go to the hospital. So, if this service is in place, we've got direct access to care on site immediately so that the athletes and their parents do not have to wait. We also would have access to Seth O'Neill, which is also an employee of WVU Sports Medicine, which is a walk-in clinic weekdays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., and he does nothing but see students with sports injuries. This also includes the capabilities of if our student has symptoms of a concussion, they could get that SCAT-5 concussion testing right there on the field, and a determination can be made, yes, they can go back to play, or no, they need to seek medical attention. Currently, we do not have those capabilities. We also, at times, especially on Friday nights, hardly ever during the weekdays when we're having basketball and other events do we have access to our emergency squad. When we've had to call, we've had to wait for services from Parkersburg and sometimes even Marietta to come if we needed transport. Some other responsibilities that were mentioned by Wirt County Schools would include just general supplies such as like tape and those kinds of things, consumables. This gives us a great opportunity to expand on our health services, for our student athletes. And we're not asking to replace what we currently have, but we would just like to add to and to be able to provide some additional services for our students that just are not available here in Wirt County.
I think it's kind of a big thing. I know many of you probably know our situation in volleyball this season in middle school. We're very thankful to have Nurse Kelly there, but having an AT that's in the area at different practices, even if they're not there at the event per se, but they are here in the county for a practice, they can be there in an instant and help out. I think it's very good. There's a connection to go to somebody, and if the AT would be here during school hours and whatnot, if they, right after school, we need a little bit of pre-treatment and getting students ready to go. We don't have to worry about, necessarily scrambling out totally, or we can still kind of participate in sports, but at the same time have those precautions and things. I think it's going to go a long ways in keeping kids active and involved in the sport instead of, I'm hurt, I'm going to go home, I'm not, going to come back for 2 weeks. It keeps them involved, keeps them, feeling a part of the team. So.
It keeps their attendance at school.
Dottie, how much did you say again? I'm sorry, I did not.
7,700 is what we were quoted.
Okay. Are you ready for questions? You ready for questions? Okay. This is a contract, right? They will not be our employee. We'll approve a contract on them.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
They will actually be employed through WVU Medicine.
Okay. Questions?
If I understood you right, like somebody is hurt, it directly puts them into care in the emergency room?
When we asked that question, of course, we were told if there is a big emergency and it requires, it's just like with any other, but in most generalities, our student athletes would come before the person with the common cold or,
So, yeah,
someone comes in with chest pain and stuff. Of course, if our student's injury is not life-threatening, the person with the chest pains, would go first. But in other terms, the students and their parents, from what I'm understanding, are not going to have to wait.
So, yeah, they said the athletic trainer would go ahead and make that phone call to the hospital and front load, this is who's coming in, this is what they're needing to be seen for, so that when they get there, a lot of that paperwork and things is already taken care of, so they're not going to have to wait as long to be seen as if you just walked in off the street.
Dottie, you said they were, or Mrs. Smith, I should say, you said they were running a clinic in the morning.
Yes.
Do you know where that's at by any chance?
Williamstown.
Williamstown, okay.
The reason I asked that question is when Porter broke his leg, both bones above his ankle, he was in there forever. No, they didn't
Yes.
pay any attention, you
I've
imagine what
experienced
pain.
it with my own
Right.
child, so I know. But, like I said, that from what I'm understanding and when we have spoken with the other athletic directors at the other schools, they have said it has been very beneficial.
Actually, when Zach broke his collarbone at a scrimmage somewhere in Harrison County, I don't know where they were, it was the one I missed, there was a doctor there from Weston, and he did that very thing. He called ahead, he pre-cleared everything, and so when Zach got there, they took him right in, and he was, all taken care of, and they were home well before I expected them to be home. So
That was at W. Madison, Camden Clark?
no, it was in Weston.
Okay.
They were in Harrison
Camden
County.
Clark isn't known for...
No. But I think that's a nice,
Well, and like I said, it's not only, that's just a piece of it. It
Yeah.
opens up the gamut for our students to receive other services
Right.
that we currently cannot offer.
Yeah, the concussion's a big,
yeah.
anything we can do with that. Yeah.
And like I said, we met with our athletic directors and assured them that we were not, being sneaky but this was just something that we were pursuing in addition to what they currently do.
Well, that'll only strengthen that because I'm sure
Yes.
our trainers will train them from these people and will become stronger as an athletic trainer
Yes,
from these national certified people.
right.
Yeah. I'm sorry? Sure.
We have one that's the same area, and my granddaughter got her to practice one day basketball court, and the quick response kept her from having long-term serious injury.
Right.
And I just am so appreciative of that, so I think it's a great thing to have in there.
Yeah. So, Mr. McCown, how you going to bring this
So,
back to us?
yeah, I
as
just
a
wanted
contract?
to front load this as information. We will get a copy of the MOU from them and bring it back for board action at a board meeting sometime soon.
Ms. Smith, are we talking about someone that already has a certification?
Yes.
Or someone that's in school to get it?
No, from what I understand, they were already certified.
Yeah, that's my understanding too.
And the only costs that we will incur are the $7,700 for the supplemental salary and the consumables that they might need, the tape, the Band-Aids, that kind of stuff,
Which
we
we're buying
already
anyway.
purchased.
Yeah.
Which we're getting anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you. You'll bring back
Our
this.
next one is going to be the same members of the studio audience, because the next information item we have on the agenda is adding assistant coaches to sports. So with that, I thought, and I will say, Mrs. Hickman was scheduled and on deck to be here Tuesday, and then after the planned power outage, I think she's at her son's baseball game tonight. So she asked Mr. Edwards to come and speak on her behalf. But I thought, what better for you to hear the need and about the details of that from the administration or from the athletic directors at those two schools. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. One big thing is just kind of having some extra eyes and hands. Kind of looking at it as, a little bit of legal coverage and a little bit of extra help. I know two big needs for us as middle school programs are with our golf team and our cheer team. Right now it's just kind of the one coach, and it would be very helpful to kind of have another set of eyes and help there. As our programs continue to hopefully grow, I know we had a nice sized middle school basketball team this year for our boys, and so it's just kind of another good way to get some one-on-one attention to some of those kids who are in, for example, right now our softball team has a bunch of sixth graders on it, and just kind of working on developing those kids while at the same time paying attention to those 7th and 8th graders who are kind of making an impact now. A thing that we kind of would like to see it as is it's not just a kind of a blanket coach added to the program, having a little bit of say for the assistant between the principal and the head coach, so that we can kind of make sure everybody's on the same page of what the direction of the program is going, and that if some philosophies, some coaches may look at it one way where the head coach is wanting to go in a different direction, and just kind of making sure they kind of mesh together a little bit instead of just saying, here's this assistant coaching position, kind of anybody could apply. It would be kind of a process of being able to kind of go through the meetings with the principals and the head coaches and ADs and kind of making the best decision for the team as well. So,
Absolutely.
anything you could add to that?
When we've talked with our coaches at the high school, we have some of our teams, such as volleyball, and I know that boys basketball is another one that currently are doing fundraisers to hire an additional coach, just so that they have those extra supports for those skill building, for the safety aspects. But one of the things that most of our coaches have all said is that not every sport may want that extra person, and they don't want to be forced if they don't want it, but it's nice to have the opportunity if it's offered. So take that however you want.
Yeah, I understand that. One of the issues with that, though, Ms. Smith, is that, we have Title IX out there, okay? And sometimes, the want of that individual coach becomes secondary to meeting the Title IX requirements. So, but I get what they're saying.
Do we have any sports that don't have assistant coaches?
Yeah, at the high school?
Yeah. Either one.
Middle school, we just have one cross-country coach, one cheer coach right now, and I believe golf was only had one coach.
That's right.
Are you asking for assistance for each of those sports, or
Yes, I would say that would be a thing.
Ms. Smith, about yours? Is yours pretty
We
well
only
covered?
have one golf coach, and we have, and I'm just going to use, since we're currently in baseball season, you know, one of the things that was talked about at the last board meeting is that we have people who are helping that are SSAC certified, but, you know, then comes the liability. Where does that stand, like with the board? We only have 2 people. We have an assistant and a paid assistant for baseball, but then you also need someone who's going to be in the dugout to keep Game Changer, the main book, which is a requirement. You know, who's going to keep the kids in line.
Control.
So, I mean, and, you know, and I'm just using that as an example. You can't hardly do baseball and softball with just 2 coaches.
Right.
When the girls or the boys are in the dugout and the coaches are on bases.
Right.
Yeah. And Dottie, I you know, last time, you know, I made the comment, and I've heard from different people, but I think if this is approved by the board, that shortly thereafter we'll come back with some type of policy that's going to govern, okay, the lay coaches, because I know you understand that's a liability. Even when they're approved by us as a volunteer, that doesn't mean that they're covered by Brim or anybody else. And if they're in the dugout and they're in charge of students, there's issues there. And if they're in the dugout and get hit by a ball, there's issues there. So I think, you know, all part of, you know, if this passes the board, then the next step is to take a look at what we're doing with lay coaches.
It's a concern.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was just using baseball and softball. That's currently where we are. But, you know, when you go and look at the big picture, you know, I have never coached either sport. My kids play both. But, you know, it's a concern. It's a concern for track. You know, even with having 2 coaches, you know, you have one coach stationed here and another one on top of Elizabeth Hill, who's going with the team.
Yeah, well, and when you get to the meets, you have one with the throws and the one with the field. And what's that? Yeah.
So, I mean,
and nobody in the stands.
It's a safety issue for students.
You know, as far as, I'm just giving my thoughts, okay? As far as, you know, some coaches not wanting another assistant coach, I understand that. Right. But at the same time, I trust you and Mrs. Hickman and Nathan and Mr. Cheeseman to you know, flesh that out. And if it really isn't needed, then okay. But if it is needed, then, you know, you guys are going to do your administrative duties and
like
take care of it.
I said, you know, we have some sports who are already trying to eliminate this issue by fundraising and using those funds to pay an additional coach. So.
Yes. Yeah. Questions? Now's the time.
So far as information goes, you'll come back again with which ones you need so we can have a money finger in front of us, or can we just...
Yes. So when we get all of those details fleshed out, we had a spreadsheet for you that had everybody. We'll bring that back to you with just what we need. Okay. And I would say, just to throw it out there, that if we had a coach and assistant coach that didn't want another coach at this time, and something would happen and that coach would change and another coach would come on board, we would give them the same opportunity to bring that back if they had a change of heart, for the board to then authorize that and put it in place.
And you never know when a program may grow and there be that need for that additional person.
Or would it be an annual thing we look at, or how would we control that? Or maybe it's you know, you get something where you don't need that extra coach I guess, would the principals come to us and say, we got so many kids on this, we need an extra coach, assistant coach? Was that how it
So
worked?
we could bring back to you and ask to authorize a new position at any time. If we wanted to look at doing away with that, we'd have to do that in a RIF and transfer season each spring.
Yeah, what I envision is that, we'll approve just what it says, an extra coach for each sport, and then administration will decide which ones are going to be filled and which ones aren't going to be filled.
Well, I think,
Put it
Mr.
out to
Betts
that.
brought up-
It's where we're at
Title
right now.
IX. You have to offer it for each sport.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, if
offer
we don't,
has to be there.
yeah. If we don't, we'll end up,
LLC.
yeah, it'll end up being an issue for us. Issue that's bigger than any of us. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I thank you for your work on putting that together for both information items, so thank you.
Okay, next one is the discussion about principal and assistant principal's contract lengths. Mr. McCown?
This was in your packet, but it's easier to look at paper, so I have ran a couple things off here for you.
Thank you.
Trifold thing, fold it all out and look at it all.
I was trying to take it apart.
Yep. So there's three
I got it.
pages.
There we go.
Three
I'm gonna put
pages
it
here.
on sheets.
So the first handout has got a breakdown of every principal and every assistant principal contract length, broken down from elementary, middle school, and high school. So just what you're looking at here. So we've got a spectrum here. On the left-hand side, we have 200-day contracts. All the way on the right-hand side, we have 261-day contracts. And then as you move from left to right, it's got the number of positions in the state that are funded at each contract length level. So as we take a look at the very first line, we've got head principal here of an elementary school. Okay, nobody is funded at 200, 2-1, 2-4, 2-5. So there are two elementary principals in the state that have a 208-day contract, 17 with a 210-day contract, one with a 213, 29.01, I'm not sure how that worked out, with a 215-day contract, 5 at 217, 9 at 218, 139.95 at 220, 12 at 223, and then moving across 38, 30, 39, 8. And then if you look over, there are 34 that are at a 261-day contract. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but you can see the breakdown at each programmatic level of who has what. So with the assistant principals, okay, at each programmatic level, you can see as you scroll across here, there are 6 that have a 200-day contract. That wouldn't be a very good gig because that's what a teacher contract has. I don't know who would sign up for that, but you can see as you move across from left to right how many individuals there are that have each different contractual length for their contract. Okay, this is broken down in the stapled handouts that I gave you. One of those sheets has got the same information in like a graph type of form for you to look at that might be easier for you to, if you're a visual person instead of just a number person, that might better show you that breakdown of data. So there's a wide range of contract lengths for administrators across the state. Are you on?
Yeah, if I may add just a few things to it, if you don't care. Since I'm the one that created all these spreadsheets, I'll just give you a little bit of background on them. We've had discussions here about contract terms, dealing with administrators, specifically at the schools. So this is statewide information, just summarized. The first is detailed by the different contract lengths. And then I'm a visual person, so I like graphs. So on the graphs, you can clearly see like what is the predominant contract based upon the position that's listed. And as we go through those, the very first one is the contracts of our elementary principals. Statewide, there's approximately 140 personnel employed at a 220-day contract. Versus a 261, which is only 34 statewide. Now, of those 34, the majority of those are in Wood County, our neighbor, and I was able to look at their information. Those 61 days of contract of extended employment is actually funded out of their excess levy. Our excess levy does not provide for that. The other counties that are listed for elementary, I have this information, you do not. And I think it's prudent for you to know that. There's 15 that's in Wood County. There's 4 in Wetzel County. There's 2 in Tyler, 10 in Mon County, 1 in Doddridge. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 counties that have elementary principals at 261-day contracts. Of those, Doddridge, Tyler, Wetzel, those are all our big booming gas territory counties. And Wood, I was able, because I know the account coding, they specifically, I could see clearly that their 61 days are broken out and paid from their excess levy funds. Ours does not provide for that. So as you make your decisions, I think that's information that you need to consider to make a sound decision in your choice. As we continue on with these graphs, our middle school principals, statewide predominantly, you can see the 240 contract is the most predominant, and there's 34 that hold that. The next most significant contract for a middle school principal is the 230-day contract, and there's approximately 25 of those that hold that contract term. The next one is our high school principals on the graph. You can clearly see that the most predominant contract is around a 240-day contract. About 46 positions are there. However, the next most significant contract for a high school principal is that of a 261-day contract, and there are 42 of those in the state. Finally, we have some combined schools. So that's like elementary, middle, middle, high. And of those type of arrangements, the predominant contract for those schools is a 230-day contract. The assistant principals, since that has been a topic of conversation, the assistant principals of an elementary school, statewide, it is significantly at the 220-day contract. There's 35 of those positions held there. On the assistant middle school, again, it's the 220 contract, and there was 45 of those statewide. On the high school, again, it's the 220, and there was 43 of those. The next most prevalent contract term for a high school principal, assistant principal, is the 215-day contract. Actually, it's not correct, 240.
240, yeah.
240 had 35, and 215 is about 34. So, and then on the combined schools, it was 215 days.
I do appreciate you putting that information together.
Yeah.
Just, I don't have the numbers, what is our principals and assistant principals contracts now?
All of the principals are at 240, and all of the assistant principals are at 220. Assistants, all the assistants are at 220, and all of the head principals are at 240.
Discussion.
So in the stapled handout that I gave you, there is a sheet in there that's got what the cost, if we moved 240 principals to 261, and then if we moved assistant principals from 220 to 230, there's a cost there associated with that and a breakdown of what that would be.
So if we increase the terms of contract, increasing their work days and thus increasing their salary by, say, 10, maybe 10% or 7-10%, are we expecting that same type of improvement in student scores?
I don't know.
I don't think you can equate to Mr. Sherlin.
Or if we increase it, are we expecting any improvement on student scores?
I don't think you can equate those.
Okay, so then we're asking to pay them more money and get the exact same result.
I think I wouldn't put a straight ratio and proportion between what the contract length is and what student achievement is. We're expecting, and you've seen what we're doing with student achievement. That is our goal. It's going to continue to be our goal. Okay, I don't think that this is a factor that's that anyone looks at in moving the needle for student achievement is salary.
Okay, so it's not a factor in student achievement.
No, I don't believe it would be. I think it would. I think that when those people are there and getting paid, I think our people are working as hard now within that respect as what they would if we give them a raise. Okay, I don't see that being something that's going to make them work harder. No, I think what it is that if we increase the contract, we're going to pay them for the work that they're doing.
And I would add to that, and in particular with the board office index, okay, I would say that if we are offering a competitive salary and we have a vacancy, we're going to attract a wider pool of candidates. If another county is offering more and there's vacancies there, quality people are going to weigh their options, and all things equal, they're going to probably go where the salary is more. So, because I will tell you, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, that a quality person with experience is not going to come to a board office position and take a pay cut of $10,000. It's just not going to happen. So, if someone with experience is not going to fill that, what does that leave us with? It leaves us someone that possibly has an administrative degree but doesn't have any experience. Okay, I would like to fill the vacancy at the board office with the most qualified person that we possibly can. And when you get the best qualified person, you're going to have somebody that can bring to bear more fully the levers that do lead to student achievement. Somebody with experience versus somebody without experience. So the two things are not going to directly correlate with one another, but the better qualified person you get, the more expertise they're going to have to bring to bear on that problem.
Have we looked at the quality of the other schools that have the higher contract days versus the quality of the schools that have lower contract days?
Again, I don't think that...
It doesn't mean anything.
I don't think
don't
that
know
there's...
how to...
Well, I mean, then it might not matter in the quality, but from what you were saying, that we would get higher quality people if we had a higher contract line.
Or keep our quality people.
Or keep the quality people that we do have. So...
Because which piece was it you mentioned that was specific to Wood County? They had several...
They're elementary
Yeah,
people.
Elementary
they have
people?
the most principal contract terms at 261, and like all of their elementaries are at 261. But those 61 days of extra work, a basic contract is always stated in terms of 200 days.
Right.
That 200-day contract term is state aid funded.
Right.
Anything above and beyond, as Mr. Stewart had pointed out at a previous meeting, anything above and beyond the 200-day contract, the county has to bear 100% its cost. Well, in Wood County schools, they're fortunate enough to have an excess levy that allows
yeah.
for that provision. Our excess levy does not provide for us to be able to fund those extra days out of that, but they do. So they've got that on us. About 3 or 4 years ago, we did have the issue on assistant principals, and as vacancies come to be, that's when vacancies get looked at and positions get looked at, as the federal programs director is now. On the assistant principals, she basically stated to us, I'm leaving because there's no index here. And so at that point in time, she was able to go to neighboring county and get a higher pay.
Yeah.
And so we had turnover in the assistant principal position. So as a result of that, they instituted a 7.5% index to take care of the assistant principals about 4 years ago, I think. 4 years maybe. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
McCown's been here
probably
3, so it's probably 4 years ago. And that's how the position before you is the federal programs director / special ed / pre-K facilitator. Eventually, whenever it gets brought to you to be fully abolished and reauthorized with all those extra duties. But yeah, that's the position that's before you now, and that's the direct result of Mr. McCown having been there himself before.
So we don't, as you said, we don't have the excess levy to help us with these salaries.
No.
But we do have to compete with Wood County for people, just given our proximity. I mean, we have teachers and folks who drive from Wood County to work for
Yes.
us, but we have people here who drive there
Yes.
to work. So we are in direct competition with them, even though,
Yes.
we're talking about two very different size school systems and all of that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I was how to say it. I have talked to teachers where a teacher that they did go to Wood County, did less and made way more money.
Well, they
The
have...
the thing that they said was, why would I want to stay here, make less when I could go there? Because I asked them, why did you leave? And that was the answer I got.
Yeah, they also use levy funds, if memory serves, their base salary. It has a supplement in it that is higher than ours. But as you recall, you put an $800
Yes, we
supplement on with everybody not too long ago. So we're higher than a lot because we're paying more than the minimum, but still not at the level of Wood County.
Yeah, the $800 that was paid last year, that was, before we were like within about 30 other counties just paying minimum, so maybe not quite 30, in the 20s anyway. We're just paying minimum, but now that we have the 800 on there, at least we're a little bit above there, but Wood County is, I don't know their exact supplement, but it's greater than ours.
I think it's around $3,000 or in that ballpark.
Okay, don't want to drag it longer than what we have to, but
I
want to take
think-
all the time that we need to.
Yeah, I think to answer Mr. Sherlock's question, if you can keep your quality teachers or get quality teachers, that would be an improvement.
Or administrators.
If that be the case, that's why I was wondering
Right.
what how the other schools performed with it. If the other schools didn't have an increase in performance, then we're going to be spending more money and getting the same thing. And we're going to have to go to, eventually, the money's going to come from the taxpayers, so we're going to ask the taxpayers, pay more for the same result.
But it's not. You're saying pay more for the same results. That the test score, for what it's worth, okay, might be the same, but our taxpayers are going to pay more for the quality people that we have to hopefully keep those quality people. I just don't think you can equate it, okay, with the ball of wax is too big. There's too many variables in there to say that principal is going to, because they're making a little bit more money, that they're going to raise the variables are too great.
Well-
But what we are saying is that those principals will stay with us, hopefully, and that with that longevity and with that knowledge of the system, that those things will get better. But I'm sure there's counties that are paying their principals the minimum that have excellent test scores, and there's probably schools that are paying their principals a premium that have terrible test scores. There are just too many variables in there to say that.
I'll just throw out there, like, we don't have a huge bench of folks going into administrative jobs, just like we don't have a huge bench of folks that are going into teaching in general. So what ends up happening is we're just shuffling people around from county to county. Wood County is stealing folks from us. We're stealing folks from Calhoun, Roanoke, wherever. And so folks are looking, and I think we've got to be competitive, or at least try to be, because a limited number of applicants are looking at the jobs, and it's not like it was 20 years ago where WVUP is putting out 150 people a year. I think I was on a webinar yesterday, and they said
Next
the fall
semester we
student
have
teaching is
5.
yes, less than a dozen. So,
5. Next fall semester, WVUP will have 5 teachers.
Yeah, statewide, I mean, the whole forecast is a shortage. And we need to do what we can to maintain and be competitive. But everything we've heard here is talking about the big picture. And the big picture is we've had teaching jobs vacant now for 2 years, still unfilled. That's major. I mean, whoever thought we'd have a PE job go as long as it did unfilled, and we still can't get them until next year. So, I mean, we need to try to do what we can universally to be competitive countywide, and that stems looking at your county supplement, and where it's across the board for everybody.
just going to throw this out there just to say it. Nobody has to agree or disagree. I don't even know if I agree. But we are looking at doing the same thing with all three schools, no matter what. Either they all they get bumped up, or none of them do, or we're not looking at staggering the contract lengths, where like we saw, some of the elementary schools are staying at the 240 or, or even at the 220 or whatever. I know we wouldn't go backward, but
and this is just my personal opinion, and I have worked at different programmatic levels as an administrator. I was the assistant principal at the high school, and then I was the principal at the middle school. And just because you're at a middle school instead of a high school doesn't diminish the workload that you do. And I haven't been an elementary principal, but I've spent a lot of time there, and I would argue that the job that they do, while it's different in what the elementary principal is spending their time with and what the high school principal is, I don't know that I agree that they deserve a shorter contract length because of that. I think the work may not be exactly the same, but they're working hard. And I don't know that I agree that a middle school or an elementary deserves to make less just because they're middle school or elementary.
Yeah, I think some of that's a throwback to where, I can remember when high school teachers made more than elementary teachers. And, you didn't have middle schools. Your junior highs, your 7th, 8th graders were in high school or in the elementary school. But high school teachers would make more than what elementary teachers were making. And I think some of this contract stuff is a throwback there. Now, I have never been a high school principal. I've been an elementary principal and a middle school principal. And, you take a look today, we got the list of things for each school.
Yeah.
And with Mrs. Smith, she had, graduate. She had big time stuff there, okay, that takes a heck of a lot of organization and time. And then you look at Mrs. Emerson's, and that list was 3 times as long. Now, those things aren't going to take the time that Dottie's take.
Right.
Per thing, but they're all taking time. They're all taking, her time. So I think the jobs are definitely different, but I strongly think that diminishing and saying the elementary needs to make less is, I just can't go with that philosophy.
Okay.
Again, me speaking.
Sure. Well, and that's what I said. I don't know that I agree with it either, but I just wanted to throw it out there.
And it is that way in places, and I think sometimes it is a throwback, okay, to where, the whole thought that the high school, with the sports, and at one time, that high school principal had all those sports. Now our middle school has as many, or, as many, or pretty close. In summer schools, where it gets to elementary school is the amount of summer school and those things that happen during summer for that principal. Never wanted to be a high school principal. Scared me. Okay. We ready to move down?
Yep.
Okay, let's go to board office director's position.
Okay, that is also, I just stapled all those together. There's a sheet that's got a breakdown here for the board office position. And we just wanted to, again, bring some numbers to you for you to consider. So on here, we have the current federal program director. This is assuming that we've got a master's plus 45 individual in there with 19 years experience. Okay, there is a county supplement in there of $3,000 with that. And so that would have a salary of $76,797.75. So if you look, if we were to raise principal contracts to 261, that would have this same person that has a master's degree plus 45 and 19 years making a salary of $92,653.30. So if this fictitious person were to bid on and take the board office job, they would have a salary decrease of $15,000 and change. Okay, so to correct for this, okay, a 22% index on this would bring that person at the board office director position to $93,033, or approximately $379 more. And again, what I have said moving forward, I don't think that somebody that is a sitting principal should take a huge pay increase to move from that position to a board office director position. But at least in my view should be a lateral move making approximately the same salary, because I will tell you that if somebody in that boat and is looking at that job, I don't think there are too many people out there that's going to take a $10,000 or $15,000 pay cut to move into that position. So again, I want us to get the most qualified person that we can get to fill that. And if memory serves, years ago, Mrs. Cummings, we had like a 23% index on those.
Back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s.
Yeah, that's
Back
what I was
when
able to research.
Mr. Weekly and, yeah. Yeah, I believe that changed when Dr. Kane became superintendent and brought in the assistant superintendent.
That's correct.
And then that contract was negotiated. Yeah.
And then with the example before you, that's still keeping the county supplement of $3,000 in there in order to make it equal. So it's 22% plus that supplement that's already established on our salary schedule, because the position hasn't been abolished yet and there's been no determination as to whether that supplement's staying or going yet. So I didn't quite know which direction to go with your calculation for you.
So 22% does not take in the $3,000 supplement.
No, so it's that $3,000 has to stay with the job plus 22% to make it equal to a 261-day principal.
What does the $3,000 equate to as far as the percentage?
It's
do you know?
between 3 and 4%. Between
I'm sorry,
3
yeah.
and 4%.
Okay.
It's not quite 4%. And that was stated for alternative education purposes, because that person is responsible for the evening organization of alternative education. So, but I'm just going to say it. We got to get moving on this. Something's got to get figured out. I mean, we got to get this position abolished. We got to get it rewritten. It's got to get posted. Our person's going to be out the door on June 30th, and we're not going to have a person here. So,
Yeah, I believe the plan is to bring this back
It'll be an action item.
on
It's on the-
Tuesday, right?
On
Tuesday, yeah.
On Tuesday.
so.
Yeah. And at that point, it'll either go or not go. Democracy in action. Any other questions?
I was going to say, again, these don't represent actual figures because we don't know
That's right.
We don't know.
who could end up in this job.
Correct.
That's
This
correct.
is just a fictitious person that's got a master's plus 45 in 19 years.
Laying
So
out.
if it's somebody that's got a doctorate in 30 years, it's going to be more. If
Right.
it's somebody that's
Master in
less,
15?
it'll be less.
Because the person that's leaving's got 41 years, I believe is what she has. So we went middle of the road with a 19-year.
Yeah.
And same thing, there might still be principals that will make more than that person. But it's a level road at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
if that principal has all those years' experience and the other person doesn't, then that principal could make more. But it's fair, there's an even, yeah. Yeah. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, I'm going to move on if that's okay with everybody. Like I said, I won't take all the time it takes, but no need belaboring it. Okay, we have no delegations, so at this time I will entertain a motion to recess for the second public hearing for the 23-24 school calendar. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of recessing for the second public hearing for the school calendar, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Mr. McCowan, do your thing.
Okay, I do have a copy of the comments that folks submitted online for you. So not a lot of comments, and most of them were by parents, and I just had a section here. They could comment on calendar 1, 2, or 3, and most of them just said no or yes or this one or whatnot, and that was the extent. Although there's one person that signed in as a community member that didn't leave any comments, which I thought curious. But this is the extent of the comments from the public and parents.
Not too much going there.
No.
It looks like most of the comments were positive for calendar number 2.
Mr. McCowan, what was the biggest differences between 2 and 3? I mean, I can look it up.
Between 2 and 3, I think the biggest differences between calendar 2 and calendar 3 was calendar 2 had an additional teacher prep day at the beginning of it, and then also there was an additional continuing development day in front of Christmas break. And then 2, I believe, has got spring break following Easter, and 3 has got spring break in front of Easter. And then the ending date, calendar 3, students would be done on May 22nd without any snow days, and on calendar 2, it would be May 29th in absence of any snow days.
Mr. McCown, do all these calendars meet the statutory requirements?
Put forth by the state, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, any comments from the public out there? Or three public, or four public? Any comments? Five public. I'll eventually get it right. Board members, anything? Okay, with that, at this time, I will entertain a motion to return to regular session out of recess for the public hearing for the calendar. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we have a motion to return to regular session out of recess for the second public hearing for the 23-24 school calendar. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're down to the agenda. I believe that'll be on the actual calendar.
It'll be Tuesday, yes.
Tuesday. Okay. So I need a motion to approve the minutes of the March 28th, 23 regular meeting.
So moved.
Any corrections, comments? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 28th, 2023 regular meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Down to finance, need a motion to approve the payment of invoices in the amount of $193,627.50.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion? Mr. McCown.
Okay, for your consideration and approval tonight, we have several runs of expenditures. The first on 3/29/2023 in the amount of $20,755.03. Noteworthy in this is Amazon for technology and instructional supplies. The next run on 4/5/2023 in the amount of $1,001.41, PEIA retiree insurance billings. Also on 4/5/2023, a run of expenditures totaling $77,929.51. Noteworthy in this is P-card for food service, travel, and diesel. A run of expenditures on 4/6/2023 totaling $24,502.18. Noteworthy in this is Work County Health Services for $17,079.78 for counseling services provided. Then finally, also on 4/6/2023, the run of expenditures totaling $69,439.37. In this, noteworthy, $31,108 is our upgrade to the phone system at Work County Primary Center, Work County Middle School. All of these runs total $193,627.50.
Questions, comments?
Did the accident down there affect the primary and middle school's phone system?
No, I think the health department building back there and the senior center. I think, luckily, it did not affect our power or phone.
John, are they actively at the moment putting the new phone system in, or is this something that's going to wait till?
No, they have got, and if Mr. Smith was here, he could tell you, they have been actively putting these in. I'm not
Okay.
sure if they're 100% complete yet, but I know the board office has got it, and there may be, I think most of the primary and middle school have already got it. There may just be a hanger on or two that's not done.
And see a difference in it? Or, yeah?
It is nice in that we can directly hit a button instead of dialing the whole phone number for the school. We can transfer calls. It is nice when we get a voicemail, it automatically goes to our email. There's much advantage to it, and if I understood things correctly, I think when it's all in place and working, our monthly bill is going to be less.
Expecting the bill to go down about $1,000 a month is what they're expecting.
That's significant.
So, yeah, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Improvement is less.
Yeah, so we still have one more payment to make on the phone system. It came in right about $60,000. So, and this is only partial payment here tonight.
Yeah, but still, if it takes our bill, I mean, you know, it's never probably going to pay itself off, but it'll be okay. Yeah.
Well, and I think the mechanism is different where the new system is voice over IP, where the old was copper lines, and I guess this is more efficient.
Yeah. What will the teachers at the middle school and primary see? Will they see a difference in their classrooms as far as the way those funds work, or?
I think they will have the same functionality. If somebody leaves them a voicemail, I think they'll get an email too.
Really?
I think it's going to be better all around.
Good deal. Any other questions? Here none. We have a motion to approve the payment of invoices in the amount of $193,627.50. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Budget transfers, we have none tonight. Need a motion to approve budget supplements in the amount of $6,208.83.
So moved.
Commissioner McCallum.
So on the supplement list, we have a few of them this evening in the amount of $4,881.39. This is insurance proceeds from, if you remember, the one cold snap that we had a sprinkler bust from a frozen pipe back near the coach's office, and we're getting a payment for that in the amount of $7,425.38. We have an oral health prevention grant in the amount of $8,328.74. We have a farm to school grant for child nutrition in the amount of $14,311.66, supply chain assistance grant for child nutrition. And in parentheses negative, we have a $41,156 decrease in state PEIA allocation for a net. Typically, supplements are in the positive. We have a net negative $6,208.83.
You're right, I did not say that. Questions, comments? Karen, what was the negative PEIA? What was that all about?
Each year, the state, based on this year's certified list in October, they take it and then they do an actual adjustment to what your employees hold for this year for health insurance. So they want to get it as accurate as possible, and based upon the number of vacancies that we have and people not taking insurance, from the projection that they gave us back in May to what actually transpired on the certified list, whenever they captured that information, it resulted in a decrease of our allocation of $41,000.
So it's money they gave us that we didn't deserve.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Well, we deserve it. They just didn't let us keep it.
They had other options, I
There you
guess.
go.
They're going to use
Okay.
it for the raise next year.
Do we have a motion to approve the budget supplements in the amount of negative $6,208.83? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, now we need a motion to approve the West Virginia School Boards Association membership dues for 23-24 in the amount of $2,284.
So moved.
Mr. McCallum.
That letter and the invoice was in your packet. I think we have traditionally brought this for you for your approval.
I don't think it's the same as it was last year, and I think probably the last several years it's been the same amount. So, yeah. Any questions, comments? Here none. We have a motion to approve the West Virginia School Boards Association membership dues for the 23-24 school year in the amount of $2,284. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. And we're down to employment. Need a motion to approve Ellen Butcher, head custodian at Warwick County High School, effective April 14th, 2023.
So moved.
Any questions, comments, Mr. McCown?
Her bid was in your packet. She was the successful bidder for that position.
Any questions?
The primary center would be sad to see her go. I think the high school will be getting a good one.
Very good. Okay, we have a motion to approve Ellen Butcher, head custodian, Worth County High School, effective April 14th, 2023. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, number 2 and 3 are scratched. So we're down to Shayla Griffey. Need a motion to approve Shayla Griffey as third grade teacher, Worth County Primary Center, effective for the 23-24 school year.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
She's been an excellent kindergarten teacher, and she was the successful bidder on the third grade position, so happy to bring her to you for your consideration tonight. And pending your approval, we'll be looking for a new kindergarten teacher.
Yeah. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve Shayla Griffey, third grade teacher at Worth County Primary Center, effective for the 23-24 school year. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're down to new business. Any motion to approve the 2023 Senior Notebook Program proposal? Netbook. I said notebook, didn't I? Netbook.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
So this has been a thing that we have done in the past a few times. I think it's a good opportunity. The letter from Callie, the high school TIS, was in your packet. So I think for minimum cost, this has let the seniors that are about to graduate take that netbook with them to use for college or for their further endeavors as they graduate. I think it's a good thing that we have done, and happy to bring it to you for your consideration tonight.
Questions, comments? I was telling my students that in my class at college that we do this, and they were like, wow, can I go back and be high school kid in Worth County? I said, no, but you could have been before, okay? But it's a good thing, and I just want to thank William and Callie, and I'm not sure, probably William and Callie, because it's a little extra work on them to get the stuff ready.
It is, but we think it's all worth it.
It is.
Appreciate the board giving us the ability to have an inventory that's healthy and that we can do.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys taking care of it. Any other questions?
How much do the netbooks cost us? So we will give the students an opportunity to buy them for $1.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how much do they?
So do you know the answer to that, William?
I do. So real quick, so you know, a student holds a netbook for 4 years. So they get when they're a freshman, they hold it for 4 years. So the life of that netbook is, we keep they're good to go, but they're not going to do us any good here. Now, the ones I can salvage parts from, I do, but then we just have to set them out that will just go to recycle. Why not get a year or two use out of them? So they cost, to answer your question, they cost. It depends on the vendor, because each year it's a little bit different brands. Some are around $200, between $175 to $200 depending on per
Okay.
So, we get good use out of them, we take care of them, the kids take care of them, so we get that extra inventory, we instead of getting recycled.
Okay, so if the netbooks that would not be bought, they aren't reissued for another 3 years, are they? What happens to them if we don't do this? What happens to the equipment?
That's what I was saying.
It's just for
Because
spare
a lot of
parts?
times By that time, the screens and things that I could have used are 4 years old. And so we just recycle.
Okay.
So we have a gentleman.
When you say recycle, do you mean recycle, give them to another student, or use them
No,
for spare parts for repairs?
Well,
They go out of
they go
inventory.
to an actual electronic recycle. A gentleman comes,
Uh-huh.
and we have him recycled because he's secure. And if there are parts I can use, usually those are earlier models. By the time they're 4 years old, they might have a year or so use, maybe. But you got to realize those screens, those keypads, all those things. So it's either recycle or let kids that are graduating take them and use them for as long as they can.
And if they are recycled, do we get paid for those recycling?
No, we don't get paid for recycling. Okay? We just, because he comes, we give it to him, he hauls it off, and has it recycled in a secure manner. This is kind of great we had this gentleman in the past.
Yeah, we're
So
probably
essentially-
lucky he does that and not charge us.
So essentially, we're looking at,
Usually in charge, most companies don't charge us.
so essentially, we're looking at allowing the students to buy them at a discounted rate, or getting rid of them and having no use for the majority of those computers.
And that would be a good assessment.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? Hear none. We have a motion to approve the 2023 Senior Netbook Program proposal. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Need a motion to abolish A-03 school calendar policy.
So moved.
Mr. McCown,
Okay.
he's shuffling papers.
I've got a couple more handouts for you. The board has its own policy on calendar adoption. And the state has really the policy that we're bound to follow that mandates the criteria for calendar creation and adoption. So as you go down through here, basically the county policy that we have, and in the opening paragraph under purpose, it says that West Virginia State Policy 3234 school calendar sets forth the criteria for the adoption of the annual school calendar. So as you go down through here in the Worth County Board policy, it mirrors verbatim, pretty much, the state board policy. However, if you would turn to page 3 in the section that I have highlighted, okay, this is what Mrs. Cummings referred to at the last board meeting when we had our first calendar discussion. In the policy as it stands right now, there's a term in there that has when teachers begin and when students begin. And years ago, Mr. Rader was the board president. He created this policy and this stipulation. I believe we had a calendar adopted that kind of bumped up with the Worth County Fair. And to fix that, he has put that provision in there. Okay? And folks, I've been out of the county for a while and then now back, but I believe when Mr. Rader went off of the board, the county hasn't followed this policy since. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I know since I have been here and years that my kids and my wife have been here, the calendar has been pretty similar, moving a little bit forward or backward, but basically staff and students started sometime after the Worth County Fair was over, but students started before the third week in August, which is what this policy mandated. So since we haven't followed that for many, many years, my suggestion to you and what I have on the agenda for your consideration this evening, there's no need for this county policy. We're mandated by state policy that this is what we must use to create calendars. We don't need a county policy to dictate that, and we haven't followed the stipulation of students starting the third week of August in years. We don't need that. I think the calendar that we've had the past 5 or 6 years, they have all been very similar with a start time somewhere after the fair and an ending time of somewhere at the end of May or the very beginning of June with little latitude. I think we've not been following that. I don't see that we need that. Everything of substance that's in the county policy here came basically verbatim from WBDE policy 3234 that we're mandated to follow anyway.
And so there's nothing in the state policy that says we have to have our own?
No.
Okay.
Questions, comments?
Just got some cuts, even caught it.
We'll give you plenty of time. Okay, we have a motion to abolish A-03, school calendar policy. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session to, well, we won't ratify it this time, to entertain a discussion on a unpaid suspension of a employee.
So moved.
Any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it.